All right, guys, welcome back to the show. This is episode 139. Got another super awesome guest. Really excited to have him on. I think we've been playing phone tag for like a month now.
We
So
have.
it's fine. We finally did this, and finally I reached out to him last night. Like, let's just do that. He's like, let's do tomorrow. Awesome. We have Michael Mattson with us today, owner of is it Valley Pest, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Valley
Valley Pest.
Pest. Valley
Yeah,
Pest Co. technically, but everyone just says Valley Pest Control. So
yeah,
whatever you
cool.
want to call
And then where are you out of?
it. Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville, Tennessee. How's the weather there today?
Today's rainy. Kevin, my buddy, jinxed it because yesterday was great, and he was like, "Oh man, are you getting rained on?" I was like, "We aren't." And then today it's pouring rain. So, but we don't have a ton of bad weather. Normally it's nice and hot.
Cool. Well, thanks for being with us today. I love what you're doing. I love watching you. I know that you've listened to a couple episodes, so you don't know the first question that's probably coming. But if Michael and I are sophomores, juniors in high school, who was Michael Mattson at that age?
Oh man, what a question. No, I don't remember hearing that one, but that's a great one. I was held back my junior year back to freshman year. So I would have been a freshman again when I was supposed to be a junior, senior. So I was held back. Long story short, I was homeschooled and then went to private school. When I went to private school, I just wasn't where I was supposed to be at education wise, just due to just the homeschooling career not being super beneficial. So I got held back to freshman year, and so I kind of had to reset. But anyway, that's a side story. I would say junior, whether it was getting held back or not, when I was a junior in high school, I was a mess. I wasn't a bad kid. I was just a dumb kid,
We're
just
all dumb.
doing yeah, yeah, just doing your typical high school thing. No idea what in the world I was gonna do when I grew up, got out of high school. So yeah, I was just kind of cruising and trying to figure out what in the world life was gonna do, where it was gonna take me.
For sure. We're doing sports, anything like that. What would you like to do at that time?
I was in basketball, played a little basketball for a couple seasons, so that was a lot of fun. It was a small private school, so it's not we didn't have a lot of teams to play, so it was pretty low key. But yeah, I did basketball, and again, that was really like one of the only sports we had. Otherwise, I would have liked to try something else. And then when I was homeschooled, I just didn't really have very many sports opportunities. So just basketball.
Which makes me we'll come with a couple more questions. What did your parents do?
My dad he had done a couple different things. He was like a plumber, electrician, and then he'd even done some like mission work, local like missionary work. And then my mom, she just stayed home because it was me and I have four sisters, so that was a full time job.
So
And
your
again,
parents got the girls.
yeah, four sisters for my parents and me, and then now I have four boys, zero girls.
Dang.
So
So you got to have one more like your parents did.
I maybe that's the key. One more, and then we'll have the complete opposite. So I don't know. We're feeling pretty full at this point, so we'll see if
I
that
can't
happens.
imagine. It's a different world we live in from when they had kids too. A little bit more expensive. But yeah, I love kids, and if I could have 100, I probably would. But I'm not going to do that.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
So then, so you're going to a private school, homeschool. What made your parents homeschool you? Do you know?
Very conservative. That was just like the easy solution. We moved a little bit too, so it was just easier to be homeschooled. So yeah, we just kind of did the whole homeschool thing, and yeah, again, the issue with it though is I just don't feel like it was as beneficial as it could be. So then when we had to go to long story short, my dad he was the one who kind of mainly did the homeschooling with us, and so he ended up getting sick with colon cancer. And when he got sick, we needed to move to private school. When they tested us, I was way far back from where I needed to be because again, I was supposed to be going into junior year, and they're like, "Nah, you got to go back to freshman year." So that sucked. That was super humbling because it's like all my friends are juniors, and then now I'm hanging out with a bunch of freshmen. But that was just where my education or lack thereof just kind of that's where I needed to be realistically, to be able to get through high school. So got held back freshman year, and then thankfully I was able to graduate early. So went back to junior year, got through freshman, sophomore, junior, and then was able to graduate junior year. So technically, I graduated a year behind when I was supposed to.
I gotcha. That's not so bad. Uh, your what are the ranges of your sons now?
Ages we got, yep, all we got again all boys 7, 5, 2, and almost 2.5 in like a year. So
Gotcha. So the oldest one's going to school, starting to go to school.
Yep. So we, both of them, we got two second grade, kindergarten, and we're doing it's actually kind of like hybrid homeschooling, where it's like a
That was my next
three
question.
day, yep, 3 day week program. So technically, it's not homeschooling because they go 3 days, and then the 2 days that they're home, they give them the work to do. But obviously, my wife's got to kind of walk with them through it, just because they're still young. So it's kind of like homeschooling, but then their whole thing is like as they get a little bit older, it's almost like college vibes where it's like they teach your kids to be very independent, where it's like, now you just go home and just do the work, and you really shouldn't need a lot of hand holding once you get a little bit older.
Yeah, is this a like a private school type thing too?
It is, yeah, private Christian school. It's called River's Edge Christian Academy. But it's been good. We don't know if that's like the long term solution. It's just we really enjoy it for now because with my job being a little bit flexible, it's great having them home a little bit, more than just if they were at school 5 days a week. So they're home a little bit more, so we get to hang out with them, spend a little bit more time than you would normally be able to.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you think they'll ever go to public school, or are you liking the private school thing?
Yeah, we don't know. We're just gonna take it year
We
by
don't
year.
have private schools. This is why, I'd love to.
Really
Yeah,
interesting. It's just doesn't exist in your area.
no, too small of a town. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we've got private, we've got the hybrid, we've got public. So, yeah, we don't know. We're just taking it year by year. So this is where we're at. A lot of our friends kind of are in the same season of life, and our kids all kind of go together. So it's kind of a cool thing. So we do that, and yeah, we'll see. We'll take it just year by year. At some point, we might get sick of having them home as much and just throw them
get
into
out of here.
five. No, yeah, you can go for 5 days now.
Yeah, that's cool. And then so you get through, you graduate junior year. What do you do after right after high school?
Yeah, I really struggled, and even just like mentally, like again, being held back kind of really did a number on my mental health, if you will, where I'm like, man, I'm dumb. Like I can't even I can't even barely get through high school. So I definitely struggled with like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to go to college and get this second, get a degree when I feel like I could barely get through high school just based on where my education was at. And so, and I didn't love like, I'm a bad learner when it comes to reading a book and trying to figure out, how to learn that way. I'm very hands-on. So, college was super unappealing, and so that was just I did not think that's what I wanted to do, and so I wasn't planning on going to college, and then I ended up not going to college.
Nice. And so where do you go from there? Where does life take you?
Yep. So I served tables at a local restaurant here in Knoxville. I started, 16 years old, hosted, and then became a server when I was 18. And then shortly after that, after graduating, when I was 18, I guess I was closer to 19 since I got delayed. So I was 19 when I graduated, and then the owner of a local pest control business in town called Dayton's Pest Control. He's retired now, but he was a local guy, had been in the area for close to 30 years. He actually sat in my sister's section. So my sister also served. And so long story short, kudos to my sister. She served them and they just got to talking and were like, we need a guy for our pest control business. And my sister was like, well, my brother's looking for a job. He's about to graduate. And so she had me go introduce myself, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. Literally never was on the radar pest control. But again, I was about to graduate and I just didn't know. I looked at like maybe being a firefighter, electrician, like even looked at military like options, but at the time, my now wife, we were dating, so it's like I didn't really want to do the military thing, and so yeah, just I had no specific plan and on where life was going to take me. Obviously, I was just trying to trust the Lord. I'm a believer, so just praying and really seeking Him to kind of see like where He would have me. But it was tough because it's like I had no clear vision of like I don't want to. I wasn't like I want to go be an engineer or be a nurse. It's like I don't know. I don't know where I want to go. I didn't have any direction, but anyway, so I met the owner of Dayton's Pest Control, Dayton, and yeah, he's like, we need a technician, 30K a year, and back then I was like, that's a lot of money, so let's do it.
Are you sick of paying marketing agencies and not getting results? Well, we are hosting the #1 step-by-step class on how to attract and generate sales without paying a marketing agency or having a huge budget. Most lawn care and pest control owners get stuck at a ceiling because they're dealing with outdated systems or relying on guesswork waiting for the phones to ring. Our upcoming class this Thursday provides proven strategies to generate hundreds of leads without a huge budget. We'll show you how to build a predictable system to grow past $1 million. We show you how to automate your marketing. We'll also teach you how to delegate and build your team so you have more time. So click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is the one thing that I wish I had learned a lot sooner. Now, let's get back to the show. That's super awesome. So you go work there. Assuming you started right away, you went as a technician. How long do you stay there?
Yeah. So exactly, graduate high school. I'm pretty sure I start like the next week. So just start as a even just seasonal tech. So seasonal, right along in the winter, just get training, and then eventually kind of get a route and grow. So yeah, I ended up working there. I guess it would have been 2015 until um, I guess technically, actually 2014, 2015 is when I started, and then I was there until 2021.
Really? So this is entrepreneurship's new.
Yes, entrepreneurship is very new. Yeah, so yep, basically what happened was I Dayton's was great, the one thing that I struggled with at that job was there was not like a ton of like upward mobility. It was great. We had it was a I think like close to 50 employees, so it was a
A
very
big company.
successful, yeah, local business in town. There just wasn't like a lot of management opportunities or like so that was kind of something I struggled with where I was like, all right, this is good. Like, we made more and more money each year and they treated us really well. So it was a great place to work. But I was like, I just don't know what's next. And so that was the biggest thing that I kind of struggled with. But anyway, 2020 rolls around and
COVID
it was
hits.
about well, it was right before this, so I should say the very end of 2019, like December 2019, we have a meeting, Dayton's retiring. Well, this sucks. So he's retiring, so it's like, what does that mean? So then Wayne's, which is an Anticimex company, I don't know if they're up in your neck of the woods. They're in I know they're definitely Alabama, that's kind of where they started. They're all over. They're Gulf Coast, but anyway. So Wayne's came to town, purchased Dayton's, and then that was kind of so from 2020 on, they came into town, and then at the end of 2020, I was like, I don't think this is going to be where I want to stay. It just is a bigger company, so it's harder to kind of have a meaningful role just because there's so many people moving around and kind of felt like a reset, I guess. And so I was like, man, I don't feel like this is maybe going to be my best option. And so at that point is when I ended up jumping ship. Would have been the end of 2020. So 2021 is when I ended up getting out of there.
So did you ever think that you'd start your own business? Did you ever like over this past 4 or 5 years that you're working for Dayton's, did you like, I think I'm gonna go do this on my own? Or were you starting to think that?
No, I really wasn't. Like it was literally like I don't think that thought ever crossed my mind. What did cross my mind is I always felt like I wanted to be a business owner, entrepreneur. I just had no idea what that meant. It's like real estate sounds fun, like this, that or the other. It's like it all sounds great. Pest control was literally not even on the brain waves of like something that I thought that I'd be interested in. Because I think from my perspective as a technician, it just felt like a insurmountable, like, task. Like, this is just like, I'm not again, back to, like, I think just, like, the high
Not
school
smart
stuff with,
enough. You're
like
not, yeah,
yeah, I'm not
not good
good enough to
enough.
do
Yeah.
that. Exactly. Like, I'm not smart enough, like, you have to be really smart and this and that to do that. And so I think that was kinda why I never even, considered that option. And so then what ended up happening was 2021 when I quit, I actually started with a business partner. So we were 50-50. We quit together. We had both worked at Dayton's together. And we started the business together. And then basically after that first year, I don't know if you have any business partners, but it's it's just it can be tough if you guys aren't like very aligned with your vision. So basically after that first year of 2021, 2021's coming to an end, it's about to be 2022. And I was like, man, I think we are going to work together if we just go our separate ways. And so that's what ended up happening. And obviously he was a little bit blindsided, but I think looking back, like it's not there's not like bad blood, but I would definitely say that looking back, he's probably happy to not have to deal with me, and vice versa, where it's like, he had his vision, so he was basically able to take his thing and run with it, and then vice versa. I created Valley starting 2022, and then here we are today.
That's cool. So during that 2021, when you guys went different ways, is that company still up and rolling?
Yeah, I basically since I was the one who was like, let's split up. I was like, I'll obviously just let you keep the LLC and the business name and all that stuff because it's not fair for me to try to just come in and just screw the whole thing up just because I decided that I want to kind of do my own thing. So yeah, he kept the business LLC. We were pretty irrelevant like that year. Again, neither of us knew what we were doing, so we didn't have like a lot of customers. So it's like our customers were either like my in-laws or like his friends. So it's like we just took our people, which it was super irrelevant the number. So it's like I took a couple people, he took a couple people, and then we just went our separate ways. So there wasn't, thankfully, it wasn't a breakup in the sense where we had like hundreds of $1,000s of stuff to deal with and customers. So that I am thankful that we were kind of ahead of the ball as far as like not having to, have $1 million business and figure that out.
Yeah, but what did you learn during that year and a half?
Yeah, I
Sure, a
definitely
lot.
learned a lot. Yeah, learned a lot. I think a big part was just getting confidence because again, even doing that, like, because my wife, she's right a lot. Don't let her hear that, but she was right because she told me she's like, babe, I think you should just start a business on your own. And I was like, oh no no, like this will be better to just get a business partner and do it together. But again, she knows my personality and the way I am. I'm just very like when I set my mind to something, like I'm gonna just work super hard at it and she knew that, so she's like, "No, just do it yourself." And I was like, "Oh, no, no." So I talked myself into thinking that, like, having this 50-50 split would be more beneficial for me. And for me personally, again, just with where our visions weren't like great aligning together, shortly into, I'd say 6 months into that first year, I was like, "Well, shoot, this is probably not going to be the play long term." So that was obviously a big learning experience of like figuring out, okay, this is doable. I can figure this out on my own. And I can basically just grow something from the ground up. So that was the biggest thing. And then just even uh just learning a lot with like how to deal with customers, customer service, sales, what that even means, because that is one thing I didn't have. My old company had there was no like door-to-door team. There was no like sales guys. So there was no like sort of sales influence for me to kind of learn. So that was something that I was like completely like I didn't even know what door to door was until Wayne's when they came in. They're like, "Do you want to do that?" And I was like, "What the heck?" I remember being like appalled by the thought of knocking on someone's door. I'm like, "What are we in the 1800s? Like, who does that?" And then come to find out, it's like super popular. But Dayton didn't do it, so I was just very unaware that that was like still very common in the bug world.
So I'm assuming that you didn't go do that?
No, that was when that was towards the end of when I was about to quit. They came to me, they're like, "Hey, you wanna do this position?" And that's kinda when it clicked in my mind. I'm like, I think I would if I'm gonna go do something like that, that's really difficult, like a really hard job. I'm like, let me just try to do it on my own or with a business partner in this case. So that was kinda like the last thing.
Yeah, when you guys started your company together, how were you getting customers then?
Again, not really great ways. Just really referrals, and we would like post on Instagram or Facebook. But again, it was very slow. It was a very slow start, and partially just because we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. What our thoughts were with like how to grow. So just nothing crazy. I think we tried like who doesn't try oh shoot, what's it called? Not next door, the other Angie's List, Angie's
Angie's List,
Leads.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so of course they solicited the heck out of us. I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll give it a try. And it's like, so just stuff like that, little stuff.
Cool. And then so you start your own in 2022, start back over, rebrand, rename everything. What's your next move?
Starting fresh, obviously, again, have a couple friends and families that came with me to Valley, but obviously just starting from ground zero. So then it was really just like deep diving into, okay, let me really figure out what's going to make the customers come in and all the different options. So definitely learned a lot. I found bug bugs and I found I think you're connected with Jake.
Yep. Sheldon.
As far as yep,
Yep.
yep. So I took a course with Jake. I think you're in it actually,
Yeah.
and that was honestly huge. So that was one of those things where like the Facebook group posting stuff has been like that's a staple we're using to this day. Of just going crazy on those Facebook group pages because at least for my market, it can be super beneficial. Facebook ads, a little bit of Google, a little bit of this. Still not really much into the I've tried the door knocking thing. It's just, as you know, it's super hard. So I, it's not, it's not my favorite for sure.
Yeah, and it's not again, it's not the end all be all. It's fast for sure, but I feel like if you want to grow a little bit slower, more organically, you're gonna have way better retention, better client, better customer base. Like there's a lot of good things come with it. Um, and so, like, how have you transitioned from when you first started in 2022? So this is your third year in business. What's been the transition through all that?
Yeah, just from day one till now.
Yeah, like walk us through that. Walk us through that story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So start over. Just again, just getting my feet out from under me, just figuring it out. So just kind of getting back in the truck. Just back to the old school, just being a technician. Obviously, I just had a few extra hats that I was wearing, especially being solo without a business partner to kind of help share some of the burden. So just wearing all the hats, answering the phone calls, going out to services. Take care of this customer, do that. So it was just a lot of learning, that first year. And then year two, I, started just getting to the point where it's like, all right, I'm gonna either have to turn customers away or try to hire somebody. So whole new thought, like being the boss, just a weird word to say, honestly. It's like I mess with my guys now. I'm like, don't call me boss. I don't like that term,
Right,
It's like
right.
just call me Michael. But that was just a whole nother thing where it's like, okay, what does that even look like to be a boss and how do I find an employee? So anyway, it picked up a guy who, great friend of mine who we had worked together at Dayton's, but then he had quit a couple years back and he had just been doing his own thing. So we connected and I was like, dude, you need to come work for me. So that's when I brought Andrew onto the team. I guess that would have been 2023. So brought him onto the team. And that was again a learning experience for sure. But yeah, it's been great. And then from then on, so had got Andrew. I did have I've had 2 technicians. It's not perfect, right? So my very first technician, there's actually one kind of forgot about him because it was a short-term thing. My very first technician was short-lived. I think he was here for like 6 months or less, and again, I don't think I knew what I was doing, and obviously, so there was like a lot there. So he was young and he's like, "I don't want to do this anymore." So he quit and then I found Andrew, and then I had a third guy, and then I had to let him go. There were just some things like some cutting corners and some things that just weren't great. So that was no fun, because it's like you invest in these guys, you really try to, just teach them everything and have them be a great part of the business just to have to quit or fire them. And it's like, that stings. So
Yeah,
anyway,
every time they put on your shirt, right, they're reflecting you and your brand.
yeah, 100%. And that's what ended up happening. The guy who had to let go, like, get a call from a customer or a text like 8 p.m. on a Friday. He's like, "Hey, did your guy hit my retaining wall?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let me check in with him." So long story short, we just got these like brand new Mavericks, and he had just like chipped this retaining wall, so like scuffed up the truck pretty good and busted up the guy's retaining wall. And I'm hearing about it from the customer, and so that was kind of like the last straw. And even then, I told him I was like, "Man, probably wouldn't have had to let you go if you would have just told me about it because
Yeah, it's
accidents
way
happen."
easier. You could address the customer first. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was just like one of those things where it's like it's never fun to have to let anybody go, but
Like what? Like with that guy specific, and we don't obviously not gonna say names, but did you like looking back? Did you like if you look closely, were there signs from day one, first week, or not really?
not first week, but we definitely had to have multiple, come to
I feel like
Jesus
they always
meetings.
work their best. Not I feel like they just do. They always work their best the first 2 weeks. They just do.
Yeah, 100%. But no, we definitely had, because we had lost a few customers. Hey, he was here for 3 minutes and there's webs all over. So just the typical stuff where it's like, you see it all the time. Like it's easy. There's a ton of trust in this industry. I don't have body cams on these guys, so it's like I'm going to teach them what to do, and hopefully they just go implement it at our customers' houses. And if there's no, obviously I could go and try to like go behind them and check it in on a house every now and then, but obviously it's like it's better to just hopefully hire guys who you just trust and know who are going out there and just reflecting, yeah, the brand in a really good way. So that's been, for anybody listening who's looking into the employee thing, it's the best thing I've ever done. But just know they're it's not always going to be,
Roses and
sunshine and
sunshine,
days, yeah,
for
all that
real.
stuff where it's like, yeah, it's there's going to be some hiccups and some failures, and that's okay. That's part of it. You learn from those. Maybe not. Maybe you're going to be perfect and never have to deal with that. But I've had to for sure, and I'm sure it'll happen again. But anyway, so couple that didn't work out, and then brought on Andrew, and yeah, he's been great. He's still with me, and then ended up with two more technicians. So I've got two full time techs at this point, one part time, and then an admin, which was another. That was you can ask Andrew. He was like, "Dude, we got to get an admin because that's not. I'm not good at that job. I don't like that
None of
job.
us
Like I
are.
don't.
None of us are. That's why I would say we need to hire. You need to hire a CSR admin before you hire your first tech. They'll buy you back. They'll buy you back 20 to 30 hours of your time in the field. Like you can go produce more revenue generating income for the company to afford to have her, and then you hire your tech second.
Yes, absolutely. And so looking back, I definitely wish I would have done that because I did it backwards, hired the tech first and then the admin. And so definitely was still just having to play catch up because even having a technician, it's like you just said, I'm still doing all that nitty gritty stuff. You just don't realize how
You're
fast
still
it.
doing the routing. You're still taking the calls. You're still doing the emails, and you're trying to do this all while you're in the field. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible and just it's just not good business strategy. I think my biggest hesitation before why I didn't pull the trigger on a CSR was just the I was just nervous on like, okay, how do I train him, her to do all these things? Because like it's just second nature at this point. Like I know what I'm doing just because I've done it, you know. But I've heard it multiple times from whether it's a book or a podcast. It's like the moment that you think that you're irreplaceable, that's when you're gonna just fail. It's like nobody's irreplaceable. We're not that special at the end of the day. It's like anybody can be taught to do the things that we do. We just have to find the right person and let them come in. And but I think that definitely was part of it. Where I was like, it's easier for me to just sell this customer because I'm used to it. Like I know my pitch. Like I'm pretty smooth with just like explaining everything. But
And you know everything. You know all the nuances of the business. You know how, like
exactly.
you obviously you believe in your product more than anyone else in the world is going to. Of course, you're going to sell best. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just getting over that, I'm like, man, now I gotta like try to get somebody on board to have that same like just like being on fire for what we're doing and what we're wanting to build. But it's definitely doable. You bring the right people in, you compensate them, you treat them right, and it's doable. So I ended up getting an admin. So so yeah, at this point, four employees, three are full time, one part time, and yeah, I mean, still learning every day, but it's been a lot of fun. And now I've got a great team. I love the guys that I have now. They do great. They represent the company super well. Our 5-star reviews reflect that, or it's like they're getting reviews left and right because not because of anything I'm doing, but because they're just great guys who are representing the business.
Yeah. Are they asking for the reviews?
We have an automated system, which is nice. So we have an automated system, and it's great. It's called Clicky,
Of
and
course,
it's great.
Kendall
Yep,
Hines.
Kendall.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's been really good, because there's like an incentive for the customer where it's like if basically the whole thing is like, hey, if you leave us a review, this is a way to tip our guys. Obviously, Google's kind of weird, so you have to be careful. You can't like bribe your customers, but you definitely can be like, hey, if you want to leave a tip, this is how you can do it. So it's a great way, and it's been super effective because it's crazy. There are businesses in town who have been in business for 30 years, and I've already got more reviews than them. So it's like, I get it if that's not their focus, but it's just one of those simple things that can be super beneficial to have
But
just some
but
sort of
most
relevance.
PCOs operators are old school dudes that they're busy doing their thing and they've done it the same way for the last 30 years, like you said. And so this stuff's just kind of pass them up. So the opportunity that the younger PCOs have now is absolutely ridiculous. Like that's what's nice about being small right now, because there's so much shift in the game right now from AI technology that these old guys are going to move super slow. Or like I said, if you have a small oar boat versus a big giant yacht, which one can turn faster? So being a smaller, like, and I'm still smaller too, like, so having a small company like us, we can shift really fast, which is cool.
Yeah,
One thing
absolutely.
that you mentioned earlier was like trusting your guys, and I always say that you have to micromanage them until you can trust them. So just stay on top of them for the first couple of weeks. Make sure you're following up with the customers. Make sure you're doing some ghost inspections until you like, okay, now I trust this guy. Now I don't have to check up on him all the time. Then just have yourself at this point or manager just do ghost inspections, once a week, just to make sure that they're doing the right things. Make sure that everything's getting done. Like you said, like guy went there and uh, there's some spider webs, but if you had done a ghost inspection, and I'm not telling you what to do, just what we do. Like we'll just have ghost inspections. Like you'll see like a guy that didn't even take out his web pole. Like and you're sitting there watching, like, yeah, how often is he doing this? So you have to write him up and do that whole thing. But as long as you have the ghost inspections, like I said, you got 3 techs now, and you want to scale this thing up, just make sure you're doing the ghost inspection. Make sure that they know you're holding them accountable too, as a technician. So I would just say micromanage until you can trust.
For sure, and no, that's a very good tip, and definitely, I did not do really any of, there at the beginning with those first couple guys where, yeah, I guess just being naive or just, yeah, just thinking they're gonna go out there and do what they're supposed to, and again, ton of trust where it's like they can because I've known lots of guys in the past who have gotten fired because they would just do drive-bys. They just go to the customer's house, sit in their truck for 15 minutes, fill out the
Yeah,
ticket, and then just get out of there. So it's like,
it's unreal.
yeah, it's an easy thing to do until you get caught. But I think first and foremost, just like really trying to hire great quality
I agree.
candidates.
Yeah.
Like you
Not
said,
just hiring anyone.
micromanage.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely trying to just I think that's another thing where it's like hire slow, fire fast, is a thing I've heard, and yeah, I think
It's
that's a big
so
one.
true.
Yeah, because I've
And
definitely done
and
the
it
opposite.
and it's the same thing, like you mentioned body cams too. But like we've heard it so many times, like, oh, your technicians didn't go in the back. And then and everyone has cameras these days. Everyone. So they can tell you if you went in the back. They can tell if you just did a drive by. They can tell if you showed up. So it's nice having the GPS. Nice having all that new technology to help. Like, oh, let's just go look at our cameras real quick. Oh yeah, we were here from this time to this time. Here's some pictures of body cams in the back. Like, oh crap. So all those things do help as you grow through it. But very, very, it's awesome for us too.
Do you do body cams?
Yeah, and then think how much content you can get. Content for days.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, we already stepped into like the dual facing dash cam.
We use Ravens, I think, the ones
Okay,
we
cool.
use.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that that alone is already something that's, debated where some guys are like, you just gotta trust your guys." I'm like, "Dude, I can't even trust myself." Like, it's a epidemic with phones where it's like and that's what I've just told my guys. I'm like, "Dudes, like, listen, I'm not gonna sit here I don't wanna be sitting here watching you pick your nose. Like, this is just like a safeguard of like, hey, listen, this is super serious. Like, you're representing our business. You're riding 60 miles an hour. Like, you cannot be sitting on YouTube while you're driving our trucks." So that's our my biggest thing. Yeah.
And it does happen. Yeah, and so again, like at home office or whatever, it's not like we sit there and watch all these guys, our technicians, all day long. We have obviously we can, but we don't. But if we need to, we just go back and check the Ravens quick, and make sure that whatever they're doing. I heard a story recently that uh, they're having a problem with the technician, just super slow. Not at our company, and they were like, "What is going on? Like he's really slow." His production is super low, and they kept watching it, and so like he picked up the Ravens or whatever they were using, and went and looked, and he was sitting in his truck, and all of a sudden, like the employee was putting his head in the bag, and then all of a sudden he pulled his head out of the bag. I'm like, what is he doing? And he put his head back in the bag. It's like something's up here, obviously. And so when they went there, he was just sitting there hitting a vape pen or whatever, like a whatever they were, whatever those things are, like
Yeah,
just
right.
basically smoking weed in the job. And he's like, dude, obviously can't do that while you're working. So he obviously lost his job, but it's just catching things like that. And again, it's not like we have to monitor all day, every day, but it's a safeguard. So instances like this come up. Or if someone says like, "Oh, you weren't here from this time," you can go check your GPS in your truck. Oh yeah, this is when they arrived. This is when the truck started, and this is when they left.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And that's what I've told the guys where again, it's like I don't want to have it's just the way it is where it's like I've told them where it's like for the most part, if that thing catches you, if you get in a wreck and we see some footage that's, distracted driving, that's pretty much instant termination, So like just having that like expectation of like y'all need to understand like you want this job, you want to keep this job, you value this job, so you need to prove that by not risking your job by being yeah, just careless in your work truck, and potentially causing a wreck or just something on the road because again, it's like yeah, it's our labels slapped all over that vehicle.
For sure. And then, a lot of times your insurance will even give you a discount if you have videos in them. You know what I mean? They really will. So just make sure to reach out to. I'm just telling the listeners, make sure to reach out to your insurance company, see if they offer something like that discount. They have
Absolutely.
it. I mean,
Yeah, I think ours does for sure, so definitely worth it.
cool. In 2025, which I know you've grown a lot last couple of years, what's been your best lead source now?
Um, Still Facebook, funny enough. Still Facebook. Just again, just hammering like Facebook pages, and then just like people referring. Like we'll kind of like gamify it. Again, that was a lot of what y'all talked about in your course of like making an incentive. So having like referral bonuses for customers. So yeah, I mean, Facebook. It's funny, It's like I don't love Facebook. I'm not going to sit here and scroll Facebook like I would Instagram or TikTok, but that is still by far like the most popular as far as like the generation who's purchasing pest control. Although I will say, I'm 30, I'm a 95 baby. So it's like my generation is getting to that age, now where it's going to be more heavily Instagram and even whatever TikTok or YouTube. So it's like just kind of like you talked about a minute ago, where it's like, man, yeah, these like old school guys, and hey, that's fine. Like, if that's how you wanna, if you're not worried about Google reviews and being on Instagram, like, sure, like you're comfortable with the living that you're making, that's great. But as far as like scaling and really wanting to grow, like by far having a social media presence, and I'm bad at it. Like my social media is not where it needs to be. Like I know you crush it, my buddy Kevin, Travis, like these guys are just killing it. And that's something I really need to step up because there is still a completely untapped market where, like, again, you already hit it hard, where it's like no one's really doing it, And even if it's just like one or two other companies, that's still like a drop in the bucket. Where it's like if every single company is doing it, it's harder to be relevant. But no one's really doing the whole social media thing. So there's a huge market, and again, as these customers start to see you more on Instagram and Facebook and all these places, yeah, it's like having a billboard that's free, because they're going to just see you.
It's awesome. And so what does the next 5 years look like for Michael, and what's the next 5 years look like for the company?
Yeah, definitely. I've finally um, gotten to transition out of the truck, the past year or so, and that's been a weird thing, but a really awesome thing because it's like at this point it's been
It's a weird transition for sure.
yeah, super weird because it's like almost 10 years I was just a technician, for the most part. So transitioning from that into just figuring out how to run a business and operate it has been a really weird thing, but also just been a ton of fun of just like okay now where's my time best served, like how can I really help the business grow the most. It's not going to be doing the work that we already have. It's like okay, we already sold that account, now it just needs to get done. It's still super valuable, but that's not, we have that work now we need to go and focus on getting new work. So that's kind of been my focus is like all right, let me try to be more active with just reaching out to whatever it is, influencers or just local networking, all that good stuff, just really becoming a staple in my town. Definitely a saturated market, but that doesn't mean that you can't
Means it's a good
stand out.
market. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good market because obviously it's saturated for a reason. So it's definitely a good market. And then as far as the next 5 years, it's been definitely been blessed with the last three. I don't necessarily. I know some guys would have plans to like franchise or like go have multiple offices. I think I would like to maybe at some point look into that. I think for me right now, still just I think you mentioned this earlier, like just fine tuning like the systems, like get this sucker and turn it into a well-oiled machine that isn't relying on me. So make it to where again, like I don't have this superiority where it's like you can't do anything without me, guys. Like no, like I want to become irrelevant because I've got awesome guys who are doing all the things. They're answering the phones, they're selling, they're taking care of customer relations, whether it's good or bad interactions. So dealing with customers because it's going to happen. So basically, just creating a really awesome business, um, and just obviously performing really great services, and then just kind of let it blow up from there, and see what happens. So I got 4 boys, so I'm sure somebody
You'll be
will want to
busy.
come. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just saw a post on, I can't remember which one of the Facebook groups it was, but it's like the guy said, "Hey, I have a really awesome opportunity in the next state over. What is the best system to use to run operations at 2 different locations?" He's like, "I have 130 mosquito accounts right now." I'm like, bro, and I wasn't trying to be mean. I gave him the answer that he wanted, like which software to use. The second part was know how great of an opportunity that sounds like. I would never do that ever.
Yeah, right. Where it's like, and again, even where I'm at, we're getting close to like 1,000 accounts, which for me it's a really cool number to get to. We're like right under it, but seeing what we could be at, it's like again, I'm just like getting started where it's like I want to just fine tune this thing, really get a good customer base before I even consider another town. Again, it'd be awesome to have go down to Florida, have a market down there or something. But again, like I just need to get really good at where I'm at, and then we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, I have a whole YouTube video on market penetration. Like, don't even think about moving till you. And I walk through everything through the entire steps of how to do it. And it's like just focus on what you're doing. So what I'm saying, Michael, is like it's a smart move. Don't get excited about a second location. Get ultra focused on what you're doing in your market, and you're just going to blow up because you already are. And then you've added 4 trucks in 4 year or 3 years. I mean, it's only going to double from here on out. You know what I mean? You add 2 trucks a year.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun.
It's really cool watching what you're doing from afar. It's been fun having you on the podcast. I know we're running out of time. I appreciate you finding some time with me. With your busy
Yeah,
guy, you got 4 kids, you
absolutely.
got running a successful business. So thanks for taking the time with us today,
Yeah, thanks for
and
having
look
me for
forward to
sure.
see what you do in the next couple of years. We'll get you back on.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right, brother. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks,
See
Jonas.
you. Bye.
See ya.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for this show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.